Today we're testing out a fat tire 1000 watt e-bike. What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things, and today I'm at a local bike park checking out this ridiculous looking fat tire e-bike coming from Untitled. The Fat HS is a 48 volt 1000 watt mid-drive e-bike. There are a few different options to pick from, either a 17 or a 19-inch frame, and there are a lot of good dimension specs over on their website. One of the coolest things about this bike is that you can add on a secondary battery, and the two different options that they let you choose from are a 14 amp hour or even a 17 amp hour secondary battery. In my mind, a bike like this would probably be used for either commuting or even hunting and fishing, just for outdoorsy type of people. So if you want to load this thing up with cargo, you can also opt for different wheels and also a rack and fender. This mid-drive Baofeng motor will give you a top speed of a claimed 30 miles per hour. And the best spec that I could find on their website when it comes to range was, if you are using this bike with the 17 amp hour secondary battery, you can get a range of up to 80 miles. For the gear selections here, I'm happy to report that they didn't actually cheap out, which you might find with a lot of Chinese brands. So this bike comes with a Shimano 9-speed gear system. Up front, you do have an LED headlight, and the bike did ship with a little sort of clamp-on rear tail light, which just runs off of batteries. In the front, you will find an adjustable RST front fork with only 75 millimeters of travel, which could be good, could be bad, we'll see how it goes. And then in the rear we have an EXA adjustable spring suspension, and that might take a little bit of tuning to get riding the way that I want it to. There's a nice big LCD display up front which shows you your pedal assist modes from 0 all the way up to 5, and on the left side of the handlebar you will also find the controls for all of that, including a thumb throttle. The lithium-ion battery is removable with a set of keys on the side, so if you don't want to drag this bike into your actual house, you can simply pop the battery out and bring it inside with you to charge. Now in the front and rear we have 26-inch by 4-inch Kenda tires, giving it the Fat in Fat HS. And then in both the front and rear we have 180 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes, which on a normal mountain bike would be pretty good. However, this bike is coming in at about 70 pounds, so I think those brakes are actually a necessity. That way you're able to stop a big bike that can supposedly do 30 miles an hour, so those brakes definitely have to be good. I often get asked about weight limits in videos like this, so this bike has a weight limit of 440 pounds, and depending on which size you get, this one happens to be a large, it can fit a rider from 5'3" all the way up to 6'4". There is a whole lot of bike here, but it's not coming in super affordable, so an entire package just like this right here is coming in at about $2,799. All right, guys, here we go. First ride on the Fat HS. I have yet to ride an e-bike that is also a fat tire, so this one should be pretty interesting. We're gonna start off on just some paved trails, some bike paths here around Denver, and then just up ahead there are some actual dirt trails. There's also some rock features and some more mountain bike-esque type of things over here. So first up, Shimano Gears. I'm happy to report that they are Shimano, not just some like weird knockoff. We got 9-speed, so let's bump it up as we're going downhill. Shifting feels pretty good. Nice and smooth, kind of what I would expect out of a system like that. One thing that I will already note is that I'm wearing polarized sunglasses and I cannot see this display at all unless I turn my head sideways like this. Looks like we're doing 26 miles per hour. I'm actually going to confirm that by GPS. I have my phone tracking me right now for mileage and overall top speed. So pedaling with no pedal assist right now, you definitely notice the weight of the bike. It's coming in at about 70 pounds, might even be a little bit over that. That's quite a lot of bike to be sort of hucking around, especially if you're riding over logs and things like that. Now let's check out the different pedal assist modes. Let's go up to 1. Not super noticeable in 1, but it definitely took over some of the pedaling power there. Let's go up to 2 and 3, 4. Okay, now the bike's really pedaling for me. And 5. And I am barely moving the pedals here for that motor to engage. Now, one thing to note about this bike as opposed to some others is that it's using a cadence sensor as opposed to a torque sensor. So as soon as you start pedaling, it's giving you that torque, where a torque sensor, sort of in layman's terms, will put out the power with the batteries depending on what you are putting into it. So let's see, as I'm going uphill here, once I stop pedaling, the bike does accelerate for like half a second after that, which is due to that sensor, but it's not anything that's bad that it's gonna like throw me off the bike or anything. It's just something to keep in mind. There may also be like a half a second delay when you start pedaling too, but again, that's something that's sort of to be expected. Another thing to note is that as I am pedaling, if I do brake in an emergency, it immediately cuts that power because you got 70 pounds of bike to slow down. So this cable up here is what is connected into the whole system to allow the bike to know when you are actually hitting the brakes. What was our top speed so far? 35 kilometers. I should probably figure out how to change that into miles, but for any European people, there you go. I just found a push assist mode. Looks like if you hold down the minus button, this is like a walk assist mode, so the bike is just moving under its own power right now as if I were pushing it up a hill. Can't figure out how to change kilometers to miles, so whatever, we'll just convert it later. The bike does feel really smooth as just a bike though. When it comes to ergonomics, on the other hand, the seating position from my perspective is a little bit weird. I like the bend of the bars, zoom bars. I just feel like they could be a little bit wider since this thing already is kind of beastly. Might as well just elongate these just a little bit more. I think that would make my riding position a little bit more comfortable. And then the angle of the saddle and sort of the way it's positioned, I feel like I'm kind of sitting up forward a little bit. I should actually raise this seat a little bit, which you can do right here. This little quick clamps, you can raise the seat up. It's also good to note that you can remove both the front and the rear wheel the same way. That's a little bit more comfortable right there. So riding in pedal assist mode 5, it's showing me turbo mode up here. This is going to be the most power that the bike basically outputs based off of your inputs. But we also have this thumb throttle over here. And you guys probably know I'm kind of lazy. So let's turn back around. Let's get out of 9th gear. Complete stop. No pedaling, just the thumb throttle. So again, a little bit of a delay even on the thumb throttle, but gets you up to speed pretty quick, and I'm not sucking wind because of it. Now let's see how fast we can get this thing going. I'm assuming that the pedal assist in turbo mode with me helping the bike will be as fast as we can possibly go. That feels about maxed out there. It says we're doing 37 kilometers per hour. Again, heavy bike, fat tires, a lot of weight to move around, but as long as you have it in that assist mode, it feels pretty good. Alright, let's see how this thing does on the trail now. Let's go to pedal assist mode 3 and get onto some trails a little bit. Now everything around here is pretty mellow. This is just sort of like a beginner learn how to ride type of thing on dirt, which is probably right up this thing's alley. Just some like nice mellow single track type of stuff. Here's a little feature. Whoa, that feels so weird. The fat tires just suck everything up. So even if that front suspension is lacking a little bit, you just like, you don't really feel anything. Woo. Ooh, you're not gonna be jumping this though, that's for sure, at 70 pounds. You can try though. I really don't have much saddle time on fat tire bikes, but they are pretty cool. Can I make it over this without bottoming out? Yep, sure can. Yeah, so the fat tires never really appealed to me. Can I even fit through here with fat tires? Barely. Yeah, we got it actually. I think it's more of a comfort / mud and snow thing compared to anything else. But it's a pretty cool riding experience. Let's put this sucker in turbo mode for the hill. Maybe even use a little throttle. Ooh, it's steep. But we got it. Ooh, there I noticed that delay. When I let off the throttle. Ooh, staircase. Man, I don't even feel those logs. That is cool. So I did notice a good bit of delay there. When I stopped pedaling, the bike kept going. And since this is a mid-drive, that's probably where I would prefer a torque sensor. But with those brake sensors, it's not too bad. Should we go downstairs again? Come on, brakes, don't fail me. Oh boy, that is steep. Not the right geometry on a bike like this to be going down stuff that steep, but it handled it. Let's make another climb up here, get to some rocks. It is pretty maneuverable around these little switchbacks here. And in turbo mode, it is just effortless. This thing just wants to climb, which is nice. All right, suspension test. Let's go through all this chunky stuff here. Let's give it a break, back down to 2. Oh boy, don't bottom out. So it feels pretty stable through this. Ooh, that one hard bump there. Could have felt better, but not too bad. Let's see if we can go up that same hill. Oh, it's gonna need some help. I love e-bikes. Here's some more chunky stuff. Ooh. Definitely not what this thing excels at. But still handles it all right. Going up. Ooh, I just noticed that when I shift gears, it actually cut power to the bike. That way you're not going to damage anything back there. We are already getting a battery blinking. So there must be a little bit of battery sag there because on the way up that hill, it was blinking and I noticed the power dip. I guess that is to be expected if you're riding this thing in pedal assist mode 5 all the time. It's also good to note that at the start of this test, the battery was 1 bar below completely full because I wanted to get out here and ride while the weather was beautiful. So we're not starting this from a completely full charge, but full enough to get some impressions of it. Now going over some of those big bumps there, I noticed that I should probably soften this rear suspension. I can feel it moving a little bit, but it's mainly the tire. Could definitely soften it up a little bit. Looks like you can also lock this suspension, and the front has a lockout as well. So if I turn that over, front forks are locked, and now they're open. Kind of cool. Now let's go down some more gnarly stuff here. Rocky, bumpy, a little bit of a drop. Woo! It's nice. It feels good. So being at a little mountain bike park, like you see here, some features, stairs, and different things to ride over. Again, I don't really think that's where this bike is going to excel. However, if you're into hunting, outdoors, fishing even, this would be a good mode of transportation because it's pretty silent. I know my mic is not going to pick up the audio super well, but I actually hear the tires on the pavement before I even hear the motor. I honestly don't really hear the motor at all, so if you're the type of person who's big into hunting and you're going way far out into the backcountry, this would be a good silent mode of transportation to take you just a little bit further on your hunts. Same thing with fishing. If you're at a reservoir and you want to go around to the other side, but it's a journey to get there, you could get a bike like this with the rack, load up a tackle box and your fishing rod, and you could get to places that maybe in some other situations you wouldn't. Ooh. Brakes definitely work. I'm glad they went with the 180 mil because there is a lot of bike to stop here. How's it on dirt? Yeah, they hook up good enough for the bike. Anything smaller than that and you'd probably be running into some issues. Man, this like dirty, muddy single track stuff, that's definitely what this bike is made for. Just cruise around on this all day. The fat tires are sucking up all the little bumps. Just a really good cruiser. Just wish it was a little more downhill so we could go just a little bit faster. Log. Up and over. Ooh, how about chunky stuff like this? Not too bad. Let's go for a climb here with just the throttle, even though we've been riding for a couple miles. Definitely helping it out a little bit here with me pedaling, but not too bad. Up and over. Let's hop into the beginner obstacles. This little bridge. Kind of cool. Little wood berm action. Roller coaster. Nice. Ooh, that was fun. Ooh, almost fell off there. Let's go back through that one more time. All right, let's make the trek back to the van. I'll give you guys some of my final impressions. All right guys, back from my first ride on the Untitled Fat HS, and I gotta say I'm pretty surprised with this thing. I haven't ridden a fat tire full suspension e-bike before, and it's a pretty cool combo because you have the comfort of full suspension. Some people may not consider this legit mountain bike suspension, but it's pretty close. So you have the comfort of that mixed in with the comfort of the 26-inch by 4-inch wide tires, and it feels pretty cool. Now if we look at the dash here, it says that we went 42.2 kilometers per hour, which comes out to 26.22 miles. However, if I check out my GPS app, it says we went a max speed of 25.7 miles per hour. So not quite that advertised 30. Maybe if I put some of my own effort into it, a little bit more effort, I would have been able to get up to that 30 miles per hour. But for a rider like me, I'm about 5'10", 175 pounds. I think this thing did pretty good. It climbed all the hills. It went over a bunch of obstacles that this really had no business going over. We ended up riding for about 8 miles. Confirmed by GPS, we went 7.46 miles and barely broke a sweat thanks to that Baofeng mid-drive motor, nice Shimano gears, and overall I think it's a pretty solid package. Now when it comes to some things that I would change on this bike, I would probably opt for this version, possibly with the secondary battery to allow me to go a little bit further. Again, I'm not testing the distance on this today simply because there's a lot of different factors that go into that. I do have 2 bars of battery left. If I would have charged it completely before testing, we would probably have 3, and that would probably take me another 10 miles if I had to guess. Now, if I were to change out some things on this bike, one thing that I would probably do is opt for different handlebars, making them a little bit wider. Since this bike is already a beast, it only makes sense that you have a grip and a stance that you like. I would probably also swap out the pedals. There's nothing super wrong with them, but something with a little bit more grip would probably treat me a little bit better. I personally wouldn't go with the rack and fenders, of course, unless you are taking this out on a hunt or going fishing. If you actually have a lot of gear that you want to carry around with you, then that would probably be a good option. And speaking of that, right now these bikes are 10% off for Black Friday. But if you do opt for an additional battery, either the 14 or 17 amp hour, or if you opt for the rack and fenders, then you will get an additional 15% off, as opposed to just the 10% on the base price of the bike. So if you guys have any questions on this thing, let me know in the comments down below. While the weather is still nice, I can definitely bring you guys some more e-bike content, so let me know if that's something that you want to see. That is all. If you're new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe. I make new videos every week. As always, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one.